Popcorn World. Popcorn World. Yeah.
Can I make you groove now? Yes, I can. So you can get this groove in the back of a can. You can make it round the world when the holes in your hand. Popcorn World. 250 flavors gonna make you smile. 250 flavors gonna make you smile. 250 flavors gonna make you smile.
I said popcorn make you smile. Ah. Popcorn World. Popcorn World. Popcorn World. Popcorn World. The Popcorn World.
Football is back, and BetOnline remains your number one source for all your football betting needs this season. Hey, what's up? It's your man Lloyd Spence, and I'm so excited because it's been a great football season already. And you'll find the latest odds, matchup info, player news, and game trends at betonline.ag. And as your continued source for all sports wagering info, BetOnline features live betting, free contests, live scores, and giveaways all season long. Always the fastest and easiest way to bet all your favorite sports and events like Major League Baseball, MMA, tennis, boxing, and even golf. Head to betonline.ag to join and receive your 100% welcome bonus with your first deposit. Make sure to use your promo code BLEAV, B-L-E-A-V, to receive your rewards. Why? Because it's BetOnline, and that's where the game starts. And tell them the Noise Maker sent you.
Haven't always had the words to say how much I love you, but you chose to love me anyway, in spite of all my faults. There've been times I didn't communicate, my vocabulary not so great, but you gave me your heart anyway, and your spirit loved my soul, and I wrote this song about. Said I wrote this song about. I penned this song about. Oh, everything I do. If you can only imagine, baby, sing this song about. And I promise to be true. Oh yeah, oh yeah. Everything I do. This heart belongs. This heart belongs.
You're now listening to BLEAV in the ACC with Heisman Trophy winner and Florida State legend, Mr. Charlie Ward, Wave 3 TV, and Fern Creek Hall of Famer, Kendrick Haskins, and Mr. Talking Noise himself, and of course, Mama Noise's man, Lloyd Smith. And now, it's time for BLEAV in the ACC.
We send out our love from Leaving the ACC crew to our brother from another podcast, but it's part of the Noise family, to Mr. Shake Anderson, who will be celebrating tonight. But we know our brother. I don't know if I've told you guys, but he found out that he is battling now stage 4 cancer. So we just wanted to send some love out to him, and we'll be celebrating him tonight and doing our little fundraiser for him. So wanted to just send that brother some love today. And as we begin our show, that is Kendrick Haskins over there. He is the Fern Creek Hall of Famer and now Sportscaster of the Year, and soon to be Kentucky Sports Hall of Famer. See what I did there? See, I just kept adding some stuff. There you go. I did that.
A few more years for all that.
Well, that's the baby steps. I get it. And then, of course, that is our Heisman Trophy winner, national championship winner and state championship basketball coach, Charlie Ward, in the building. I'm Lloyd Spence. Welcome to Believe in the ACC.
And the lone resident on the show in the Heisman House.
The lone resident in the Heisman. And by the way, killing the commercial, sir. Doing an amazing job. The golfing one, hilarious. 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 I think it's my favorite so far.
Give that man his socks back, Charlie.
Give that man his socks back. Why y'all treating the Rook like that, man? That's good stuff, man.
They're pretty funny.
They really are. They do a great job with those every year, and no, this year is no exception. So shout out to you, Charlie. We got an interesting show today, because there's a possibility. Listen, we've been doing Believe in the ACC 2 years now. I think we're coming up on almost 100 shows. Maybe we're at 100, maybe 200 shows. I don't know. We've done a lot of shows. Bottom line, we've done a lot of shows. And every now and then we get it wrong. It's possible. It's not out of the
I got it wrong about Virginia.
A little bit. But we've all gotten it wrong here. It is a strong possibility that we may have misjudged some of the teams preseason this year. And so that's where we're going to start. Before we get into the review of the games, I want to talk to these astute gentlemen about these teams that we did not see at the beginning of the year being as good as they are. Like, I don't think we can keep saying that Syracuse is not a good team, or that they're just, they're I don't know what we were saying at the beginning, but it ain't. Listen, whatever Dino has done, the record speaks for itself.
Well, I think they're in a good place right now, but we do have more season to go, and most of their tough games are on the back end of their schedule. And so this is, I do believe, is a good start for them to be able to rewrite the narrative of what we all thought. But just like everyone's schedule, at some point it becomes tough, playing tougher teams. And I'm just still waiting to see them win against a really, really good team outside of their building.
But they're 5-0, Charlie.
Go down to look who they're playing.
Okay, Charlie, you want to do this with the Orange? Let's see who they played. They beat Louisville, who we all thought was going to be a pretty good team this year.
Hold on. Don't go by what we thought.
What is manifested? Okay.
Yes.
All right. That's fine, Charlie. I sense the shade. I feel it. But it's fine. We'll move on.
I'm just saying. I mean,
stating the facts of what we see.
I mean, I say it wasn't factual shade. It's factual shade, but it's shade.
All right. Keep going.
Okay. They beat UConn.
Don't get me wrong. That was a good win.
Yeah, they beat UConn. They beat Purdue, who's pretty good. They beat Kendrick Haskins' team that he thought was going to win the entire thing. Virginia.
I didn't say they were going to win the entire thing for putting words in my mouth.
Well, listen.
We still have DJ Uiagalelei to talk about too.
We do have DJ, and of course they beat the brakes off of Wagner. Is it Wagner or Wagner?
I'm pretty sure it's Wagner. We're not in Germany.
But it may be a German name. I don't know. Let's go with Wagner for now. Although I think Wagner is pretty good too. Okay. I'm thinking of the artist, not
I'm thinking about Mo Wagner from Michigan.
Or Mo Wagner, right? Yeah. Listen, I don't disagree with you. Go ahead.
How many of those games have been outside of their building?
One.
Thank you.
Which is UConn. But Charlie, to that point, they did what you do to bad teams. They beat up bad teams. They didn't struggle against any of these teams. They beat up Louisville. They beat up UConn. They beat up Wagner. The only tough games they had was Purdue and Virginia. So, are they? Did we?
I,
Which
I'm
one of
not.
those was the road game? Was Virginia the road game? What was their road game?
The road game was UConn.
Oh Jesus, I'm with Charlie.
I mean, like I said, it's a good start for Coach Baters
You
because
know what
he
it feels like? You know what it feels like to me, Charlie?
was that.
That Jim Boeheim made the football schedule because Syracuse never leaves Syracuse in basketball either.
Well, listen, they got an interesting schedule coming up. They got
Oh yeah.
NC State, which
Mhm.
is they're off this week, but they got NC State next week. They got Clemson the week after that, Notre Dame the week after that, Pitt, Florida State, Wake Forest. So this is where we're going to really find out if they are who we thought they were.
But
It's interesting. Listen, to that
what they
credit,
did
guys.
is what U of L should have done, which is schedule the bowl game. Because that's basically what they did.
Right. But here's the other side of this, though. To their credit, the last 3 years, Charlie, they hadn't won these games. Remember,
You talking about the games they won before?
Right. The games they won this year that they should have won, they didn't win those games last year or the year before.
Yeah, I agree. They made a jump. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
That's another team we're going to talk about. I'm sure that
Oh,
made
yeah.
a jump from where they were last year to where they are to this year, and it's they made steady progress. That's what I said the whole time with Syracuse. They made steady progress last year. They were close losses. The losses that they had were pretty much one possession games, and they played well in most of them. And so it was just a matter of time, and the schedule was very helpful, especially playing at home. Some of the teams they played, and they didn't really have to face that much adversity with other people cheering against them.
Yeah. Well, the other shocker this early in the season is that there is a tie atop the Coastal for dominance, and we're not talking basketball. We're talking football. It's Duke and North Carolina that lead the Coastal, which is no one saw that coming. This is, again, probably benefits of great scheduling, but Duke, they've played – who they played? They played Northwestern, got a solid win there. They beat Kendrick Haskins' Virginia Cavaliers. And then, of course, they blanked Temple and NC A&T, North Carolina A&T, and lost a tough one to Kansas.
Who's undefeated?
Who is undefeated, who turns out might be pretty good this year. That win looks better, and that loss looks better and better every week.
No, they're quality.
They've been impressive so far, and so I think they're 4-1 might be a little bit more impressive than Syracuse's 5-0. I don't know, but
yeah,
road loss to Kansas.
But they have a good quarterback too. That's something that a lot of people don't think is worthy. You got to have a solid quarterback. When we talk about UNC, their defenses has been horrendous.
Yeah,
I said
just putting it nicely.
They haven't been as good as they would like to be, but their quarterback play has been excellent every game, pretty much. And so he's kept them, where they are. Not just him alone, but his play, I should say, has been very beneficial to them being where they are today. And so I keep saying that if you have good quarterback play, you have a chance to win games.
Well, I'll say this: the other thing that makes the Duke situation very, very interesting is the schedule that they possess. I don't see a game left on their schedule that they necessarily cannot win. They got Georgia Tech next, which, shout out to them. We'll get to that in a minute for having an inspired week. But that's not a non-attainable game. They got North Carolina, which we just talked about their defense. They got Miami, who is, as we all know, not back. They got Boston College. They got Virginia Tech. They got Pitt, and they got Wake Forest. Based on what we've seen from Duke,
where is that Miami game at?
Now the Miami game is in Miami. That makes that could be that.
I don't know. They lost at home to Tennessee. They lost at home to Middle Tennessee, so they don't exactly have a home field advantage in Miami.
No. So this is an interesting schedule.
They've got a very favorable schedule. Yeah.
Yeah. So maybe we should have paid more attention to Duke, I guess.
Where's the Carolina game at?
Carolina game is at Duke. They get that one at home. But, I don't know how much of an advantage that is. That's right down the road. So.
But Duke's playing in the ACC championship before.
Mm-hmm. Right. They're not strangers. And
they really could legitimately get there because they'll be favored in just about all of those games except for Pitt and Wake Forest, I would imagine.
Well, and that's depending on how Wake Forest continues to develop. Like, can anybody on this panel definitively say they trust Wake Forest?
After their game on Saturday, I can. The quarterback, again, I go back, their system, along with their quarterback play, will help them win a majority of their games. As long as he's there and he's healthy, they'll do very well. And they play much better defensively. Well, I'll say they play much better, but I know we had something to do with it defensively last Saturday than they did against Clemson in a lot of ways. So I think they only get better throughout the season as long as their quarterback's there and they have the system to guard themselves.
Yeah, I trust Wake Forest. I think I would say they're still arguably it's their second or third best team in the league. And so
second or third best team in the league. Wow. Okay.
Behind Clemson, and I think Clemson and NC State are still the cream of the crop. And then because they beat Florida State, you have to say they're better. At Tallahassee, you have to say you got to give them the nod over Florida State, even though I still think they're relatively even. Outside of that, about it. Maybe Pitt, but.
Well, before we get to the last two you mentioned there, North Carolina's schedule going forward, they've got Miami this weekend. They've got, and that's at Miami, and then they go to Duke, and then they followed up with Pitt, Virginia, Wake Forest, Georgia Tech, NC State.
Ooh.
Little bit tougher road.
That's brutal.
To say the least. And with their inability to stop people, it potentially could get ugly for them.
Yeah, that defense, they've got to figure something out, especially going forward the rest of that schedule. Oof, that's tough.
I heard something today, and I think this is a very apropos statement that was made. And they said all 3-1s or all 4-1s or all 5-0s are not created equal. And I think this is kind of this could be what we're seeing, because I look at Duke's 4-1 very, very different than I look at North Carolina's 4-1. I think North Carolina has basically escaped, with the exception of the Virginia Tech game. I think they've kind of escaped every single one of their games. Even the FAMU game, because if FAMU had 10 more players, I think they had lost that game. So if they could have had anybody to come off the field and rest, they would have won that game.
And part of that too is because you feel better about Duke because they are a little bit more balanced.
Yeah.
Carolina is just literally one side of the ball. Yeah.
So then did we underestimate Clemson? I heard one of the guys say this week on one of the broadcasts, Clemson is back in my in my top
Yeah, I
four.
heard
I was
that
like,
too on ESPN. I heard that.
I was like,
I'm
really?
not quite ready to
Really?
make that jump, but I do think they're. It's crazy because I'm pretty sure we all picked Clemson to win the conference,
Right.
but they're still better than we thought they would be. Well, at least they are to me.
Well, they're solid-ish. I mean,
Well, you look at the rest of the landscape though, because Alabama's not like Alabama's been in the past, and
right.
Georgia had their struggles at Missouri, which I think people are making more out of that than what it is. Because Missouri's had a bad season, but
I think
that
that was
happens.
just falling asleep at the wheel. But
Right,
yeah,
that stuff happens. Yeah. And so, but like in the grand landscape, I mean, Clemson's right there with just about everybody else. I think Ohio State might be the best team in the country, but
they seem to be the most consistent. What was you going to say, Charlie?
Yeah, I mean, when you talk about Clemson, what they have and what they're starting to develop from an offensive standpoint, I think DJ's playing well. He's throwing the football well. He's starting to have guys catch it, and they're also starting to find a run game, even with Shipley and all the other guys that they have. Mo Mamba, whatever. I think that's his name. Foma something. Number
I can't have
26.
you out here like this, Charlie. Let me unstick you.
Obama plays in the NBA.
Number 26. I know that. But and number 7 is their running backs. But and then defensively, my concern is the back end.
Yes. Yeah.
The back end of it. They play much better against NC State.
Mm-hmm.
But they're still young, still learning, and I think their front 7 is pretty good as well. So I'm not putting them in the conversation with Ohio State at this point, or I think with Alabama, the quarterback that came in, I think he's one-dimensional, and at some point, if Bryce is not able to come back sooner than later, there's be a good defense that's going to take away, the run game.
And Alabama's schedule is brutal this year.
Oh man,
they play at Tennessee next week.
This is one of the years where if they were to get all the way to the end and have the one loss, I would say they earn the right to be in the playoffs. That's a rough schedule. But I want to get to Clemson again. Their remaining schedule: Boston College, Florida State, Syracuse, Notre Dame, Louisville, Miami, and South Carolina. But 4 of those 7 are at home.
Who is this again?
This is Clemson. Remember, when we talked about that earlier in the season, that the home aspect of that schedule plays very favorably in their hands to the backside of their schedule. So they get now they're tougher of those games, not counting whatever the Syracuse game is going to be. The tougher of those games are on the road, Florida State and Notre Dame. But they have an interesting schedule and they have an interesting circumstance. I'll say this: I do like how DJ is starting to settle into this role as leader of this team. Am I sold completely on the quarterback play?
You're not.
You're
not allowed to be because you wanted to bench him after the first game of the season.
Yeah,
that's not true. That's not true at all.
But you're not.
Why are we bringing such untruths to the show today? Okay.
You don't want to support the man because you said at the beginning of the year that by the 4th game he would be benched.
They could be looking at him.
Be benched for a freshman who has no experience, but he has great talent, and we're gonna put all our eggs in this freshman's basket to help save us.
I love how this narrative has been created to what I actually said, which was the noise would get louder. and they would call for. They may start calling for, which it did. I wasn't wrong. The noise did get louder, but to his credit, he has quieted the noise considerably.
So you
I don't
still
think
not
that.
all in. You still not all in because
Well,
of what you said earlier.
well,
That's what we're trying to say.
but here's
I,
what but
I
here's
am in
what I'm saying
total
even now
agreement
about my
with
all
Coach
inness.
Junior.
I got you, but here's what I'm saying about my all inness. He has played better for sure. There's no question that he's played better, and he's quieted the noise. And last week was really good. I thought last week actually was his best game.
I thought
Against
last week was the best
yeah,
performance since that Notre Dame game.
right. So if he can continue to do that, it's fine. But let's not act like we're talking about a coach that won't make the change. He is a coach that would make the change.
Yeah,
Why
I
are
mean,
we?
the other quarterback is substantially better, but I mean, well, I don't think he is. DJ's playing much better than the quarterbacks that he's had to sit down.
DJ is
Right.
playing better. So out of the 4 teams we've talked about, which one do you think is the legit best team in the ACC? And we didn't talk about Wake Forest, though we could. I mean, we could talk about Wake Forest. They are right now 4th in the conference in the Atlantic. Though if Florida State were to stumble, they would have the tiebreaker, obviously, over Florida State. But
I'm really looking forward to that game, Clemson at Florida State. How many weeks away are we on that?
It's next week.
2, right? It's next week,
weekend.
right?
I got a feeling that Florida State's going to pull the upset in that. If they come in healthy, I like their chances.
I mean, they have a Florida State. This is their stretch where they had Wake Forest, which they didn't fare too well against at home. They have NC State this week on the road, and then they have Clemson next week. And so this will tell, kind of where we are in a sense of the season, the team, but it won't be the end all be all.
Mm-hmm.
When it's all said and done.
I think. You're still in the. I think you're still in the building phase right now.
I'll say this:
I'll
say this: if Florida State can survive these next 2 weeks, it gets real interesting real fast. Because I think their stretch after NC State and Clemson, they got Georgia Tech, Miami, Syracuse, Louisiana, and Florida. Again, all winnable games. And that's a stretch to me that's a little easier than the Clemson stretch. Even though Clemson's got, a ton of stuff at home, but they got a tougher stretch to me to go through than so. And then none of us are completely sold on Syracuse. So Florida State could be the benefactor of great scheduling.
They've got opportunities because I said they have this tough stretch right here. If they can get through it 1 and 2, that's not bad.
That's not bad. They
got this tough stretch right here, and then nothing's given. But I mean, it lightens the load lightens a little bit.
Because I am one of those that do not believe that Clemson is going to get through this stretch unscathed.
That's why I'm looking at that Florida State game.
I would look at that Florida State game as well, and maybe the Notre Dame game, being on the road.
Yeah,
Notre Dame's playing better since that first game. Yeah,
South Bend in November, not the greatest place to play for a Floridian. So,
but they can't grow the grass out like they did against Charlie.
That's true.
Right. All right. Well, listen. Let's jump into our Week 5 results here. Let me tell you something. This game with Louisville and Boston College, all you need to do is see the one play with Zay Flowers, and that tells
That
you everything you need to
that play
know.
was. I mean that one though. You can't even really say anything bad about Louisville. It's great coverage. He just made an unbelievable play,
I can say a lot of bad about Louisville. You had two people there. You
and
can't.
he made a play.
He okay, but if you go back and break the play down,
I mean,
stop it, Louisville.
Meekins could
You
have
got
played the
one guy
ball a
over the
little.
top, one guy on the bottom, and y'all can't contain him.
Meekins could have made a better play on the ball, but I mean, Zay
Definitely.
Flowers just made it. I'm giving Zay all of his flowers on that.
Listen, Zay just caught his way into the first round, so like with a chain lock on there. I mean, I can't see him not making the first or second round.
Well, you know, we say that, but then again, the scouts may look at U of L secondary. It's like, no, that's not enough.
No, he's solid.
Zay's solid, man. He's solid. And I love his confidence. He's got the traditional wide receiver swag. I like it. I'm here for it.
That game has put Coach Satterfield in a little bit of peril around here.
I was just about to ask, how bad is it for Coach Satterfield right now in Louisville?
Just saying, I don't have any like sources or anything.
Right.
I think Saturday is crucial.
Crucial. Wow.
I think Saturday.
Who they play Saturday?
At Virginia.
Oh, okay, yeah. So what happened to Malik Cunningham?
They haven't said, but it appears to be concussion, and he may not start on Saturday.
Oh,
he's still
he's
questionable for Saturday.
So that's not good. That's not good.
So this is my thing. So we're saying that if they don't win on Saturday without their quarterback at Virginia, that they're talking about trying to get rid of him.
I'm not getting this from anybody from the university. I'm just saying I feel just the temperature in the room around here, and just especially with this new fad of firing coaches during the season that we've seen this year.
Yeah,
I'm just saying.
But you know what it is, Charlie. He didn't give himself the cushion to have this happen. Like had he taken care of business. And it's hard to say that because it's all he could do is get them ready and pray for them best. But had they won those games, I'll say it that way, he would have the cushion to let that for Malik to be hurt and they'd be like, well, he was hurt, but
so tell me
the ACC, and those 3 losses are not to Clemson, Wake Forest, or NC State. That's
not good.
I totally get that part. But how many games have they been out of, like, they just weren't winnable?
Syracuse.
Yeah, the Syracuse game is the only one that I think wasn't winnable because they just didn't play well at all.
First game.
Maybe, I don't know. I got to see. But I think because of the way they lost that first game, that's sticking with a lot of people around here.
Yeah.
I'm just saying this, just being around here.
Absolutely.
That is sticking with a lot of people, the way they lost. If they'd have just lost that game, it'd be one thing. But just to not
look ready.
Like,
they didn't look ready.
They had practice all summer.
Yeah, they didn't look ready. This is an interesting statement. I just wanted to, just before we can move on, this is an interesting statement. He says, mark my words, as a diehard Louisville fan, Louisville will be a better team when Malik is done. Not taking anything away from Malik, but they rely too much on him. What makes that statement interesting to me is that it's really no different than what Lamar was. Like, they relied on Lamar to do everything. But that's not necessarily means that comment is wrong. Like, there's a disconnect somewhere.
The team is built because at the end of the day, the team started playing better when they started relying on Malik more.
Yeah. And that's the catch-22. That's the catch-22.
So I ask this question. When you start talking about relying on the quarterback to do everything. Some of that's on the quarterback as well
Mm,
because he's the trigger guy. So if they're talking about passing and he decides to run and he runs for like 40 yards, or that's the kind of explosiveness he has. Um, and so I think if you start looking at UNC, who's having good offense, they rely on their quarterback a lot.
right.
He runs, he runs, he also passes. I mean, they have a run game. I don't know if that's what he's mentioning about Louisville not potentially having a
They've got decent.
dynamic running game.
Wolves actually got decent run games. Their running backs keep getting hurt because they have the kid that transferred from Tennessee who looks amazing. He's big, he's fast. He scored the touchdown in the Syracuse game. I think he's got like 2 or 3 touchdowns so far this season, but he keeps getting hurt. But my thing though with Charlie is I'll ask you this: if Louisville puts 33 points up on the board, it doesn't seem to me like the offense is the problem if you lose.
Well, they lost by 1 point, so I don't know what an extra point came in or what happened in that.
And I think they missed an extra point in the game. I can't remember, but it seems like they did.
So that's my point. That's what I've been trying to say. I mean, we got Satterfield on the fence or almost across the fence when it comes to getting rid of him. But they lost by the only bad loss in the sense of them not really playing well, meaning well enough to win the game is against Syracuse. So I'm just curious to know, like, we have these pie in the sky things and we firing coaches because we want to get the head start on the next coach or whatever. Like, where do you go? I mean, he's competitive. I mean, he's right there. Now, if they continue to falter against competition later on and the season turns out where they don't win very many games, let's just say he goes 5-7. But the
It's
7 losses, the only bad loss would be to Syracuse, who kind of dominated them. But every other game was competitive, like one score.
That's the scary part of it, though. You look ahead at their schedule. Now that they're what 2-2 right now. They still have to play Clemson, NC State, Wake Forest, Pitt. They still have all those games ahead of them. And they still have to go to Kentucky, who's beaten them to death the last 2 times they played them. And so going
Yeah,
forward,
it's not. It doesn't feel like.
it's
Now
like
listen, they can rally off these.
and they still have to play James Madison, who beat App State
Uh-oh.
and blew out Middle Tennessee. That's
Know why
supposed
you
to be their gimme. So
It's not
James
good,
Madison.
Charlie. It's not
you're
good,
right.
Charlie. It's not
Well,
good. It's not
But
good.
they may rally.
They may rally. They may rally. We're gonna put our hat on that, Charlie. Wake Forest, Florida State was a good game, but shout out to Charlie Ward, who said prior to the game that style of offense was going to be tricky for Florida State to manage, and it was everything, especially late in that game. It
Yeah.
was everything that you said it was. Like the run game did exactly what you said it would do. I was watching going, wow, Charlie could not have analyzed that better if he tried. It was exactly what you said it was.
Well, the biggest um, issue Florida State ran into was the first half offensively, and I guess defensively as well. They weren't able to get off the field. I mean, Wake Forest was like 70% on third downs or something crazy. It was a crazy number.
Right.
So defensively, they weren't able to get off the field, and they kind of controlled the football. Then offensively, we made some mistakes, turnover here, and then score after the initial score in the first half, and we squandered some opportunities there. But then the second half, we played much better offensively and defensively, especially when it came down to working to try to get back in the game. Because we were down 28-7 after their first score, right coming out of halftime.
Mhm.
And from that point forward, it was it was 3-14, 14-3, in our favor. I'm sorry. Yeah, in our favor. So that just showed you that there was FSU's resilient, but they didn't play well the first half to be able to knock off, some of those points early on instead of having to come back from 28-7, which was a good try, but
Right,
it's still hard against a good team.
right. The one thing about Wake Forest, I don't know if they are good as much as it is. Sam Hartman has just been there so long that he just understands Wake Forest football. And it may be as simple as that. I know what I'm doing out here. I'm not great at it, but I'm not horrible either. And I know what I'm doing. I know this system. I know how to calm us down. You're not going to rattle me. I'm not going to go out there and make a bunch of mistakes. I do my job. I do it well.
The
And
one
we win based off that.
the one argument I have against that
Mm-hmm.
is Malik has been at U of L just as long.
Yeah. I'm not saying all longevity is created equal. But which makes your point very
I don't
strong.
hate on Malik. I do think Malik's fine, but I just said that the
No,
argument.
that's a great point. That's actually a great point. All longevity is not created equal. So, but in Sam's case, I think he's a calming force. Like you can throw your blitz at him. You can throw your this. You can throw your that. He's like, I've seen that before. I've been here 5 years. I know what that looks like. So that matters in these moments. It matters. So that may be the X factor that gets him over the hump, like Charlie was saying earlier. So
Speaking of old man quarterbacks in college, shout out to Pickett starting for the Steelers this week.
he is starting for the Steelers this week.
He played well.
Yeah, he wasn't too bad in that first game. North Carolina took care of Virginia Tech.
I think we were
Um,
unanimous on that one.
huh?
I think we were all unanimous on
We
that.
were all unanimous on that one, and North Carolina did not let
They
us
held
down.
they held them to 10 points too.
I was noticing the same thing, Charlie.
I was like, shout out to them. We talked about this earlier. Syracuse took care of Wagner.
Now go ahead
No
and call him
problem.
Wagner.
Wagner.
Your
I call
German
him Wagner.
out.
I like calling him Wagner because I just like Wagner better, but that's probably not their name. Duke took care of
Call me Vard.
Charlie Vard.
Charlie Vard, Heisman Trophy winner. I'd like to see them call you that in the Heisman house, Charlie Vard. Duke took care of Virginia, completely dashing all of Kendrick Haskins. Virginia's gonna make
That
it
was
to the.
dashed weeks ago.
Oh, that's right. I digress. But Duke, listen again. Duke might be legit. They may be legit. We're gonna find out. Maybe the shocker of the weekend in the ACC, a fully inspired Georgia Tech saying we don't need no stinking coach, and it's Pitt.
It makes you think maybe they were on to something.
I mean, if you go back and watch the game, inspired is the word that you should use. Like it looked like a completely different team, and you're like, "Yo, where is this coming from? Like, did y'all hate this guy? What's the deal?" So,
Well, it sounds like they were playing for him.
you think they were playing for him? Like, we're gonna
Yeah.
prove to you he did a good job, which doesn't
Of
mean much
course.
now, but
Because I think they respected the guy
okay.
from the comments that I've heard after the game. They respected him. They were surprised by the firing. And I think they played for him. because of the unexpected firing, so to speak.
But why
The
not play
question
for
is,
him when he's there?
well, the question is will this continue? Because this is the first week,
Yeah,
and I mean, we all can get a shot in the arm and play well, but are we going to be consistent in the way we go about our business? So, but then
well,
they played Pitt. I mean, Pitt's okay.
yeah.
Is Pitt a little overrated?
That's why I said they're okay.
It sure appears so. It sure appears so, but we'll
I'm
see.
not I'm not gonna say one game is,
Right,
but I don't think
And they did shoot up the rankings, and I was like, they really hadn't beaten anybody. But
right.
I'm just saying I'm not a big Slovis fan. I don't know why. Um, they do have some very good running backs, um, and some receivers as well. Defensively, they're serviceable. I mean, they're good. They're good, but I don't know if you're talking about being consistently where they were last year, just because of the quarterback play may
mm,
Right,
not be top notch.
right.
Not saying it's not good or he can't function,
yeah,
but I don't think he's Kenny Pickett.
All right. And then the game of the weekend for the ACC, NC State and Clemson, kind of lived up to the hype a little bit. I mean, it was a decent game, I thought. Um,
it
I
was
never thought NC State. I never thought NC State was going to win the game.
right,
right. That's
right.
the thing. Clemson pretty much.
I
Maybe
felt like Clemson.
dominated might be strong. Controlled is probably a better word.
I mean, I kind of felt like Clemson had that game won at halftime. And to be honest
Wow,
with you,
wow, wow,
and
wow.
I started, and then I saw that Missouri and Georgia was getting close to being an upset, so I kind of switched my attentions.
Right. So to review week 5, we took some risks last week that didn't necessarily pay off. So Charlie went 4-3. If you bet it with Charlie, you made a little money. You didn't make as much that you probably wanted to, but you did okay. Kendrick and I, we took it on the chin a little bit. But overall rankings, Charlie has taken a 1-game lead over Kendrick and a 2-game lead over me. So there you go.
But we're about even.
So we're still in the window. It can all change this week coming up as we get ready to pick our final picks for week 6. And week 6 is very, very interesting. There are some very interesting games. Coming out the gate, we got Louisville and Virginia. And Louisville and Virginia, do they have the early game that
Yeah, it's a
day?
noon game.
Yeah, it's a noon game. So that should be interesting coming out the gate, to say the
It's a
least.
pick'em game
It is
It
a
is a big.
pick'em game.
because you don't know which team's gonna like.
It has become a pick'em game.
Louisville's defense is so wildly inconsistent. If you go by the way they played this year, this game they should play well defensively just because they played bad one game and played good the next, and they were terrible last week. And so, going by the way they've been playing this year, they should be decent on defense. But with Malik, if Malik doesn't play, I'm definitely going Virginia.
I was gonna put a Malik Cunningham rule in for all of our picks. This is because I honestly feel like we're probably all going to say Louisville. However, this has to have a contingency. I don't think it's fair. This, unlike in fantasy, I don't think it's fair to have this pick locked in and and then they announce tomorrow that Malik ain't playing, because we would all go Virginia if Malik ain't playing. So we will put a contingency in on this pick and make a contingency for everybody. If you pick Louisville, how about that? Is that fair?
Is Brendan Armstrong playing?
To my knowledge, was he hurt in that game?
No, Virginia is just I don't know. They're an interesting case.
They really are.
They really are.
They really are. Because on paper,
That's what
But
makes
you
it a pick'em game. Because
on
you
paper,
expect
they look like they should be beating a whole lot of people, and then you see them playing, you're like, ugh.
I
I
think
feel
I'm gonna go
bad
with
for Coach
Virginia.
Elliott. Say again?
I think I'm gonna go ahead and go with Virginia.
Are you going Virginia outright?
Because they're playing at home?
Yeah, and with questions with the league.
I don't like the way you said that.
And it's not just Malik. Another running back for Louisville's out that game. I don't know about the kid from Tennessee if he's playing or not. If he is playing, he's going to be banged up. So I got to lean. I'm leaning Virginia.
See, I don't like the
Yeah,
way you said that.
I was thinking about that too. Because they're playing at home, but you would expect Louisville to lose another game. Well, they're playing on the road, so it's back to back on the road games.
Mm-hmm.
Uh I was leaning towards Virginia as well.
Wow.
Because
So this
the
took it.
other thing about it too is they had a healthy Malik last Saturday and they lost at Boston College.
Right.
So yeah, I'm going with U of L.
This
I'm going Virginia. I'm going Virginia.
this took an interesting turn because I was gonna lean in and take the contingency, but I don't like the lack of confidence that you're bringing to the table, Kendrick. So I think I'm gonna go Virginia. You trying to talk me in?
After that loss last week,
And watch Louisville come out and
Right, Louisville
smack Virginia.
hangs 30 on Virginia, and the defense holds them with no
to
points.
be honest with you, I wouldn't be surprised if they hung 30. I mean, they're putting up points for the most part, except for that Syracuse game.
Yeah, but that not having Malik scares me.
Yeah,
That does scare me. That scares me.
no,
All right.
having Malik. I mean, like I said, the defense is just you never know what you're gonna get. Pitt.
I'm going with Pitt.
How bad has Virginia Tech gotten?
But this is first year coach. It's kind of expected a little bit, you know.
Yeah.
And they got a new defense coordinator and a new offensive coordinator. So some of this is kind of expected, especially if you don't understand. I mean, quarterback play is not very good
Right.
or consistent, I should say. And so you're going to struggle.
Yeah.
And Virginia Tech's kind of been stuck in the mud for a couple of years now, even for the new coach. And so, yeah.
Nothing unsticks them this week as Pitt gets the win. Okay. We'll all go Pitt on that one. Duke and Georgia Tech, which I'll be honest with you, 3 weeks ago, I'd have thought this wasn't going to be much of anything. And now I'm like, I got to see this game. This could be interesting.
It's going to be an interesting game.
It's going to be very interesting. And I'm not 100% sure which way I should go.
I'm with you on that.
To be honest, I don't know what to do here.
Is Georgia Tech's playing inspired? Duke has been like the feel-good story of the year so far in the conference. I mean, that's tough.
I have a question. Who has the better quarterback? Is it Leonard or is it Sims?
Leonard's been playing the best.
Leonard has been playing the best.
So I'm going with Leonard.
Okay.
I'm with Charlie on that one. He's been more consistent.
Okay, he's been more consistent. Now, having said that, who are you picking?
So
The new iPhone 14 Pro. It's amazing.
Yep.
LeBron's picking the iPhone 14 Pro. So there you go.
I'm going with Duke. They've been consistent all year.
They've been consistent.
Georgia Tech is one hit wonder. We don't know what they're going to be after, last week, but they did play inspired last week on the road against Pitt, but I just like Duke. They've been playing much better on the road, at home, and watch them come up and
Battle of the brains.
it's so tough because I'm like in my mind I'm like I think I should go with Duke, but I'm just like maybe Georgia Tech has found something. They're motivated and they're inspired and blah 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 all of that stuff. And it's
And this is at
their first
home.
game back at home.
This is at home. So you know it's going to be at a fever pitch.
Yeah, that old car is going to come out there on the field, and they're going to. I think I'm going to go with the Dukies, though.
You go with the Dukies, okay? The problem with what Charlie said. Duke, if you're looking at consistency, and listen,
the Duke is just steady.
They've been steady, and this is the same team that took Kansas down to the wire. So, I got a feeling we're all going to take a loss on this Duke one, but I'm going to go Duke. I got a sneaky feeling we're going to take a loss on this one, but it's okay. Another tough game that we didn't think would be tough. And shout out to the coach Cristobal who gave Van Dyke a glowing support. He's my guy. I'm not making a change. He's the guy. This is at Miami. But one thing we do know North Carolina can do, they can score.
But it's
Miami scored enough to keep up with it.
I refer to one of my sayings my good friend Charlie Ward likes to say. This is a stack. This could be a stack game for the Miami quarterback.
Oh yeah. Very much so. I would imagine we may see.
I would go with the Canes in this one.
You go with the Canes, okay?
I would go with the Canes.
It's possible we can see
no
800 yards offense on this game.
I have no belief in that team whatsoever, but I'm gonna go with them anyway.
Just to mix it up, huh?
I'm going with North Carolina because their offense is good, and I think their defense is serviceable. Miami has to find some rhythm on offense. Van Dyke is struggling. However, I do believe he will come out of this as long as they continue to support him, give him opportunities.
They got to let Van Dyke cook.
Play. And he got to let the receivers. I mean, the receivers hadn't helped him either.
Right.
Yeah, the receivers have been as inconsistent as he has.
Well, they listen. I think they had a week off last week, so I gotta believe maybe they've worked out some of the kinks, and so he'll be better. Just not good enough. I'm going with North Carolina. Going with North Carolina on that one. So
be the game I make up.
Clemson and Boston College. Let's move on.
We all know where we're going on that.
Let's move on. I think that was clear at the announcement. Army and Wake Forest. I be honest with you, I don't know much about Army this year, other than that Army is always a problem for teams because of their weird style.
Yeah, because their old timey style they play.
Right.
I'll go with Wake Forest, especially at home.
Doesn't it have to be Wake Forest in this one?
Yes.
Yes.
Because Army is while they're probably the most in shape team in college sports, And then last but certainly not least, the game of the night: Florida State and North Carolina State. Florida State looking to get back in off the schneid, as they say, and quite honestly, the perfect opponent to get off the slide on. Because North Carolina State is the quintessential box of chocolates. You do not know what you're going to get.
They're consistent. I mean, North Carolina State.
Their defense is consistent.
Their defense is consistent.
Their quarterback is not.
He didn't play too bad the other night.
Yeah, but that was the other night. Which one do you trust more, Devin Leary or Jordan Travis? I trust Jordan way more than I trust Devin Leary.
Jordan.
Right.
I don't think Devin Leary played bad the other night.
But he never plays bad. That's his problem. He never plays bad. Devin Leary is the Jimmy Garoppolo of college football. Like he's never going to play bad. That's not what he does. He just never does the thing that you need him to do to take you over the top.
Okay.
So I don't think I've ever seen a bad Devin Leary game. Like he's never been horrible. He's just not going to be not just good enough. He just, Devin needs everything to go right. Just like Jimmy Garoppolo. He needs everything to go right to win that game. He needs Deebo Samuels to break 500 tackles and run 70 yards. That
run looked like something out of a movie.
Oh my God, it was one of the greatest things I've ever seen. I was like, God, my God.
Jalen Ramsey wanted no parts of that tackle.
Listen, and guess what? I do not blame him.
No.
Because Deebo is not a little man. So that is,
Man,
I get it.
Go tackle the man.
Says the Heisman Trophy offensive winner.
Yeah, I threw a lot of interceptions, and I wouldn't have tackled the guy who had the ball.
Okay, all right. I don't even know if that was a humble flex. That might have been a full-on flex. Yeah, because I think that was a flex. That felt like a flex to me too.
And that was a Charlie Ward humble flex.
But not really though. Not really though. That was a full-on flex. Because I threw the interception and I went and tackled the man. That's a flex, Charlie.
That's what I did.
That qualifies.
Y'all talking about tackling Deebo Samuel. So I was just letting you know going back to tackle.
Charlie, would you so you're saying you would have thrown your shoulder into Deebo and took him to the ground?
I would have probably did what Jalen Ramsey did. I would probably try to tackle a leg or grab him around the waist.
Grab whatever you can grab, right?
And hold on.
Yeah, Deebo is different, man. I know we talk about Devontae and we talk about Jamar and we talk about Tyreek Hill, but there is nobody in the NFL like Deebo Samuel. He just, God, that's like a freight train coming at you.
Right.
To give me Florida State here, I just don't trust Devin to do enough to put them over the top. Now, having said that, he'll probably throw for 500 yards this week. But
yeah,
we
don't need him to throw for 500 yards.
Right.
We need for him to lose.
Well, you got a good chance at that, Charlie. I'm not gonna lie to you. Kenny, what are you doing here?
I'm keep waffling back and forth. I think I'm going to go with Florida State, just because I think Jordan Travis can make the big plays more so than Devin Leary can, but he's also going against one of the best defenses in the country. Florida State's defense is good. NC State's defense is another level, but I trust the quarterback a little bit more, and I trust Florida State's run game more than I trust NC State's, and I think they can keep them balanced. So I think I'm gonna go with Florida State. I
need to make one correction. As I've sat here and contemplated, I'm going to take Georgia Tech. I can't shake the sneaking suspicion that this was not a fluke. That last week was not a fluke.
Well, now I have more confidence in Duke now.
Do you? Okay, good. That's awesome. And I need to make up a game or two. So this would be the game.
That's why I feel more confident in Duke, because you just make up a game.
I need to make up a game. So I got to find. So I'm looking at this week. Said all of these aren't going to be right. So which one is the most likely not to be right? And I think it's that one. So there you go. All right, those are our picks for the week, guys. Charlie, I have a very special shout out that I'd like to give. If you don't mind, I'd like to go first. And I'll start with a clip to set up my shout out.
Curling off the screen, driving baseline. Oh, you fat with a 3. Yes, I just said that. That is that man's name. Don't tweet at me. I don't want to tweet from anybody. That's the man's name.
Shout out to the greatest basketball name of all time, my new superhero, Steve Ho You Fat. That is by far the greatest name in the history of basketball.
What?
That's his guy giving.
I'm not making this up, Charlie. This is real. Steve Ho You Fat plays in the LNB Pro Am League, Pro A League. He was born in Cayenne, French Guyana. He is half Guyanian, half Asian. He is from the Ho You Fat family. His family controls the shipping ports in Cayenne. And he has been playing basketball since 2008. He now plays for the Metropolitans 92, which the team you saw just then.
So how do they spell it?
Literally, it's spelled HOYOUFAT. OU Fat.
And that's the last name?
That's his last name. It's his full last name, Ho You Fat. Now,
It's all one word, though, right?
No, it's separated. It's
separated.
It looks like HOYOUFAT. It's on the back of his jersey. Look, you can see it.
Just because it's on the back of his jersey doesn't mean that.
That's how they spell it, Charlie.
No, it has to be all one word.
No, Charlie.
And if he's Asian, it has to be ho, like Asian name, and then the last part probably Ghanaian.
There is probably a more phonetically sensitive version of this in Asia, but in English, in the literal translation is Ho You Fat.
I can't. That can't be the man's last
That is
name.
his last.
The way we put it on the back of his jersey, it
Charlie,
has to be.
And shout out to the G League for scheduling this game and giving us this great joy.
It's Charlie. I'm looking it up right now, and it is literally
It's Ho You Fat. That's it. Now, I think if he were somehow in the lateness of his career, which I don't think he's going to make it to the NBA, but if for some reason, which by the way, I would love for him to make it into the NBA. I'd love for the NBA to have to struggle for 82 games to say that name. But I think if he made it
for the Lakers,
I think that'd be fantastic. I'd love that because that means he's going to be on TV all the time. But I think if he were to make it to the NBA, you got to drop the U Fat altogether. That ain't it. He's got to be Steve Ho, and that's it.
It's too late now. The cat's out the bag.
But that is his last name, Charlie.
But you can put the names together. That's what I'm saying. I don't think the names should be are meant to be separated. I think somebody separated the names because there's nobody's last name called Fat. But
Charlie, just like Chad said, if his mama called him Ho You Fat, we got to call him Ho You Fat. Like you can't just change his name all willy nilly, Charlie.
I'm just saying that.
Boy's name is Ho You Fat.
Yes, all one word, or at least the last two words.
But it doesn't change the sound. Like even if you squash it all together, it's still pronounced Ho You Fat. Now you can try to change it up and be like, "Oh, you fat."
Yeah,
or
I understand.
But it doesn't come across any different. It's still "Oh, you fat," and it's bad. It's bad, Charlie. It's bad, and you got to be careful at what soul food restaurant you go to with that last name. You can't just be running through the hood all willy nilly in America with that last name.
Can you imagine me in like Starbucks and like order up a Ho You Fat?
Why are we sitting up here?
Listen. We gave time on this show for Cavassier smoke, and so Ho You Fat gets his just due. Because that outdistances Cavassier Smoke by quite a mile. Like
By a mile.
that is the greatest. Hey, listen, that is the greatest name I've ever heard.
But the guy didn't even make the shot.
You don't have to make a shot when your name is Oh You Fat on national television.
At least he should have put it on there when he made a shot.
Charlie Ward.
The dude missed the shot.
Charlie
And
Ward.
that's the
That is
clip
the
we pull
greatest
up.
observation of all time. But he didn't even make
Well, because that's when the announcer, made the comment about it. After
So yeah, I said it. Yeah.
He didn't make the shot. He didn't make the shot. It's the greatest observation I've Oh my God. Oh, thank God. You know what? And I knew that this segment would pay off. I knew it would. I saw the name. Because I knew Charlie would be right there for me. Thank you, Charlie Ward, for that. By the way, he didn't even make the shot. Oh my God, it's funny.
Well, for your information, Charlie, the 34-year-old Stevie Ho You Fat, he did score 6 points on 3 for 4 shooting. So that's the only shot he missed.
So why we get? We should have got at least to give him some good props, like make the shot and then call his name. Nice move by the dude's name.
Here's what makes it even more interesting. What did they say the other times that he made the shot? Like, did they say "Ho you fat" or did they say?
Can you imagine? Like, remember John Tong back in the day at U of L at Freedom Hall? Go by "Ho you fat."
"Ho you fat."
Because you can't even mispronounce it.
You can't. Listen. It is without question the greatest last name in the history of sports, and it's not even close. In this point, it's not even. I just
can't believe that he's 32 years old and we're just now getting his name.
Well, yeah, it's not. Listen, I'm not going to say it's been a great career. Like it's been consistent. He's played. Now he's played on it looks like 8 teams, I think. Overseas, he's played. Since 2008. Oh, no, it's more than 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 10 teams. This is 10 teams.
Well, that's nothing over there, though, because everybody's around. But
he'll listen. If ever there was a time for him to retire and cash in, this is the time.
What's he going to cash in on? Rap videos?
Yes. Yes. Pick something. You can ho you fat cakes. Ho you t-shirts, fat t-shirts. I mean, this is about branding at this point. You are about to go to America, sir, and have a field day.
If his family is controlling the docks in their country, he don't need any money.
Okay, but listen, if ever there was a time to dominate the American market, dynasty,
Lloyd.
Listen to me. If ever there was a time to dominate the American market, this is it. You're trending, sir.
Get the heir to the Ho You Fat dynasty.
That is true. That man's name is not Ho You Fat.
Why are you in denial, Charlie? It's Ho You Fat. It's
all one. It has to be all one word, or there has to be a hyphen somewhere.
There's no hyphen.
There's no hyphen.
Asian and Ghanaian descent. There has to be something to where he's combined the two names.
Charlie, I need you to see this in real time, okay? Because this level of denial that you are in right now.
The New York Post has a shot of the back of his jersey.
This is a picture of Ho You Fat right here.
In France.
In France. That is his jersey. It's Ho You Fat. It's I don't know.
That is his name that he chose probably to put on the back of his jersey, like people were putting Black Lives Matter or
he hate me.
He hate me. who does that?
But that's it. But this is a different scenario. That's his actual name. He's trying to represent his family, Charlie. He's trying to represent his family. He's
So
a
what's his
proud.
brother's name? Sister's name.
That's a good point, Charlie. I don't know. Does he have siblings? Let's see if he has siblings. Or let's get his family name. Let's see if we'll Google his family name here in just a second. Because now now you got me curious, Charlie.
I'm just
Are
saying.
there other Ho You Fats in the family?
Could be part of the whole you fat dynasty.
Really?
Well, they got a little change if they controlling import.
I'm sure there are other members of his family, and can you imagine, by the way, him marrying his first woman, his wife?
She's not taking.
Mr. and Mrs. Ho You Fat.
She's not taking that name.
What choice? Well, I guess you do have a choice. That's his real name. I'm looking at his stat lines now. He's unmarried so far. They don't know about his brothers and sisters.
Okay, here you go, Charlie. Here you go.
Did you find it? Okay, good.
His full surname is listed as Ho You Fat, all one word.
That's what. Okay, thank you. Because I know it couldn't have been separated. There's no way that it can be separated.
But he said, while it's spelled as one word in his Instagram profile, Ho You Fat surname is always listed as 3 names on his jersey and within media materials.
I think that's personal doing.
It's because they're probably jacking up the name and calling it something else. And it's Ho You Fat. It's not,
like I said, I think it's all one word. And on his jersey, he's probably putting it out there so that people can do what we're doing.
Well, I'm gonna deep dive into the Ho You Fat dynasty and see if there's what the rest right and see what the rest of the family is like, because now I'm just curious to see how deep the Ho You Fat waters run. So, but that is my shout out for today because I just think that's the greatest sports name.
I can't follow that up. You win.
Yeah, you take all the shout outs for the day.
No shout out to your Seminoles? Or are you saying you don't want your Seminoles associated with the Ho You Fat family? Is that what's happening here?
No comments.
I will not stand by for this Ho You Fat shaming. Charlie Ward. This is
Charlie Vord.
So Charlie Vord, right?
Vard.
What's to the name? Go Seminoles.
Go Seminoles.
And since my middle name is Wayne, I'm Kendrick Vane Haskins.
Vane Haskins.
Vane.
Wow. All right, people. This has just been better than I could have possibly imagined. I've had a good time. I hope you guys have as well. Does he have a sister named Me?
Now leave that one alone. We do not want to get cut off the air.
That's on the interwebs.
We're in that dangerous place where Facebook is probably going to send me a very strongly worded letter. So we'll leave that right where it is. But we've had a good time today. I just thought, by the way, if you get a chance to go watch the Kevin Hart interview of them telling him what the name is, priceless. Absolutely priceless. Absolutely priceless. So, all right, people, we've had a good time. We hope you have as well. Enjoy your weekend. It should be an entertaining one, to say the least. ACC football has turned out to be even better than we thought it was going to be, and we thought it was going to be pretty good this season. But it's actually really, really good. These games have been fantastic. And by the way, ACC right in the mix for playoffs. There's no ACC team that is not in the mix. like anybody else. I think we are very early in this season, and it's going to get even better. What you got, kid? You found something. I see that look on your face.
So I found something that has the Stevie Ho You Fat biography, age, girlfriend, parents, age, height, ethnicity, all that.
There you go. So what are we talking about here? We'll close on this. What are we talking about here?
Let's see. For one, the first thing it says is mature eyes only. So that rules me out automatically.
In that case, we'll see you guys next time.
Yes.
On Believe in the ACC. You've been listening to Believe in the ACC with Charlie Ward, Lloyd Spence, and Kendrick Haskins. Please like, follow, subscribe, and share from the Noisemakers page on Facebook and on YouTube. And you can also listen to us on Spotify, Apple Music, iTunes, and wherever podcasts can be heard.